All right, we are alive. Look at it. Yay.
Hello. Welcome
So,
to our channel. I'm Barbara.
and I am Mark.
We're Wiki Design. If you're new here, we do web design tutorials. We talk about WordPress, Elementor, and some business tips.
Yes.
And today we are going to talk about some things that you can do either as a web designer or really in any industry that you're in to improve efficiency so that you can get projects done faster, more effectively, and you can make more money.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in business for 10 years, so we've definitely refined our process over the last 10 years. What it is today, it was not when we first started, so we've learned a lot, and we just want to share some tips. We have 5 tips that we think are kind of essential to improve efficiency.
Yeah. And you said it's for any type of business, really. It's
Yeah,
not just like web design.
yeah,
So,
we're talking about, from the web design perspective, but really you can apply what we're saying to any type of business. So whether
mm-hmm.
you're a photographer, a creative, or you're doing something completely different in a totally different industry, I think that these tips can apply to your business as well. So let's get started. Okay. So our first tip is to have a clear, defined process for how you do things. I think this is so important. And if you've listened to our previous live streams, we've talked a lot about the process. We do have a web design bundle on our shop that goes over that process, and you can take that, apply it to your web design business or whatever business you're in. But I think that this is so important in terms of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Before we had a clear, defined, and thought out process, we were kind of just all over the place, and every project was different. So it took a lot longer to complete those projects, and it was a lot more frustrating. Once we started developing this process and really sticking to it, we noticed that the time it took to complete projects was a lot shorter.
Mm-hmm. And we'll leave a link in the description below to purchase that bundle we talk about. So, yeah, we'll definitely leave a link in the description. Yep.
Yes. So within that process, you definitely need to think of the steps that are involved in completing a project. And I think the best way to do that is to really think about it from the client's perspective. So if you were a client that was going to hire you to complete a service, what would you want from that experience? And really think about your client experience and everything that goes into it, and start to develop, step 1, step 2, and so on. And just really make sure that you're keeping the client in mind. So usually clients have the same questions over and over again. That's something that we try to address up front in our intro packet so that they aren't going into a project not knowing what to expect. So think about those questions, make sure that you're answering those questions throughout your process, and let people know what it is that they can expect from you and also what they need to provide to you to get that project done. So I think that that really is the process.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because what's and like the next thing is like we pay attention to like the little details, like
Yeah, so what I mean by that is if you have meetings throughout the process of getting this project done, how long are those meetings usually? Is it going to be an hour meeting, or is it just going to be like a quick 15-minute call? People want to know that so they can plan their day according to how long that meeting is. So think about stuff like that. Also think about like turnaround time. If you have a part of your process where it's like, okay, and now I'm going to develop the website, how long is that going to take? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month? People just want to know so that they know what to expect. So they're not like emailing you like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on? So just pay attention to those little things. Those little details definitely go a long way. It's all about communication.
And yeah, to go back to the meeting thing, yeah, whenever we start a project, we kind of know already that there's going to be like an hour kickoff meeting.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be several meetings in between. So we kind of add that in there to like the final package price, or we kind of already know how many meetings are going to be. What do you think? I was going to ask you, what do you think about doing discovery calls? Like some people charge to have a discovery call. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I'm on the fence. We don't do that. I don't think we're going to do that, but what do you think about it?
I think that it's never something that we're going to charge for. I think that part of our process is to figure out the client and if it's a good fit.
Yeah.
So for us, that's not something that I would ever charge for, because that's a 15-minute call, and I think we get a lot of information out of that.
That might be for like bigger projects, possibly like almost corporate gigs or enterprise stuff. Maybe that would be.
I think that if a discovery call is like more than an hour and you're really going into a lot of different stuff, then maybe that is either bundled into the price or something that you would charge for. But for us, that's really not something that we would.
It's something that in our space people are doing now, and it's just like a new way to make income. Yeah, never really thought about it. All right, what's the next one you had on the list?
So just one more thing on defining the process is to just be sure that you're always communicating that process. Once you have it set, if people don't know what the process is, then it's not going to be effective. So make sure that you're communicating timelines, make sure you're communicating what it is that you need from the client at a certain time and what they can expect from you. And I think one of the easiest ways to make sure that stays consistent is to set up email templates if you're communicating through email, or if you have some sort of like project management system. We use Freecamp to set up templates through that system, and that way you can import it, and that just makes everything consistent, so every project is the same.
Yeah, and then definitely don't like switch your processes in between projects. Like don't use Freecamp and then the next project use Basecamp, unless maybe you're trying stuff out, but always keep it the same, because you're gonna go crazy.
Figure out what you like.
Yeah, you want to have like a backup of where these communications are, and you can archive projects. But yeah, we're even like we've even simplified one thing this year, just this past month, where we were paying for Dropbox, and I'm like, why are we paying for Dropbox when we have like our Google Workspace, and we have like 4 terabytes? I was like, oh, let's simplify that workflow, get rid of something like Dropbox, save a little bit of money. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that in there, that you can always look around for other tools that might offer you stuff that you can streamline it even more.
And that kind of segues into our next tip, which is to automate whatever you can, because it just makes life so much easier. So when we first started Wiki Design, we were kind of doing everything by hand. So we would have things in like Google Drive and Google Sheets, and it was not an automated process. Then we decided a few years in to get a CRM. We used Dubsado, and it works really well for us. And that made life so much easier, because we could save our contracts and our intro packets and our forms in one place and just email it to the client from Dubsado. It made life so much easier and so much faster. So that's one way that we've automated. We didn't mention that we use Freecamp as our project management system. So that's another great thing that we use, because I was before doing everything through email, and we all get so much email throughout the day that it started to become a lot to manage, because you have to go through all your emails, figure out when you sent that last email, what day it was, and it just became too much. With something like Freecamp, everything is in one place. So everything related to that specific project goes into Freecamp. You communicate through there. What's nice is that you do get email notifications, so you can go check your email, say I have a notification in Freecamp, and then you go to Freecamp and see everything about the project. You can also set deadlines in there. You can have calendar stuff in there. It's really nice.
One thing, to go back to the CRM real quick, we love Dubsado. We've been with them for years, but recently I wanted to see like what the alternatives were out there. So I wanted to maybe look for a totally different CRM. We didn't find anything great, but this is one thing I recommend, is something like a CRM go through the whole process as if you were like the client too. So don't only look at it through like an administrative perspective. Like I went on one, what was it called? Honeybook, I think it was. I tried to look at that one and I went through like the client part of it, and it was a horrible user experience where you can only get like the documents through their special like portal, and you had to like do what login authentications all the time. It was a pain in the butt. And I was like, this is not, I don't want our clients to go through this crap. So yeah, think about that type of information. Whereas like Dubsado, you get a choice. Do you want a client portal? Yes. If not, you could just, email in the contract, whatever it may be, or put it through FreeCamp. So look at it from the different perspectives too. I just wanted to add that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever you're choosing something, it is good to try to keep the client in mind and see what it would be like for them as a user. And if something is confusing or there's just a lot of steps, then maybe you can find something that's better. There's so many different choices available. You just need to figure out.
I was confused, and I'm like, I don't even know how to get into this portal. I was like, why is this so confusing?
Yeah. So, automation is awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend figuring out ways to automate whatever you can, whether it be using a CRM, using a project manager, even just like setting up email templates is something that you can do to just make your life a little bit easier and make those projects go smoother. And let's get into our third tip, which is to master one system. Get really good at that system and only use that system.
Yep.
So in our case, we're web designers and developers. We build only on WordPress and Elementor. We don't do Squarespace. We don't do Shopify, Wix, any of the other systems. We just focus on WordPress and Elementor. Now, we could do all of these different systems, but the way we look at it is if we are really good at one system and we know the ins and outs of that system, we're going to be able to get projects out a lot quicker, a lot more efficiently, and we're not going to have to learn a bunch of new things all the time. We just know this. We're really good at this. We know the ins and outs of it.
If you were to, let's say, do all of those platforms, like she said, how are you going to keep up, especially if you're a small team? How are you going to keep up with all the like feature changes, the change logs, the bugs? You're not going to be able to keep up with any of that stuff. So that's why
all the time.
That's why we're literally always just with Elementor. Like as of right now, like Elementor has like a bug. I'm like, okay, I know not to update on my client websites right now, but I wouldn't know that if I was on 3 other platforms,
It would just be so much to keep up with.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you try to learn a bunch of different things, you're only going to be mediocre. Whereas if you just focus on one thing, then you can really master that. So whatever it is that you do, master that one thing. Know them inside and out. And I think that's going to be just make your life so much easier. It's going to make the projects go a lot faster. Just a little bit more on this. For us, like as web designers, I've never once had a client care about the platform that I build the website on. Most of them don't even ask. They're just like, I need you to build a website. Can you do it? So keep that in mind. There's a lot of like, oh, this plugin is better or this platform is better and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I don't think the clients really care.
No. I think they mainly care like so if it's a website business, like we're running it, they care about like the day-to-day, like moving forward, like, okay, who's going to manage this thing? How is it going to run in the future? 5 years from now, what's going to happen? That type of information.
Are you going to be able to scale it?
Yeah.
That's what clients care about. But at the end of the day, they just want their website to work.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's built on WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, whatever. So whatever you're using, I don't think it really matters. I
No.
think there's a lot of like stupid wars, especially in our space, about what
God,
works
yeah.
the best. And I'm sure in other spaces it's
we're
the
not going to
same.
get into it too deep, but like as of right now, I'm hearing people, because there's some WordPress stuff going on right now, of course, with all the drama. But some clients are starting to ask now. They're like, this might not be a sustainable platform in the future. Like that's something that people never really talked about because it was like top dog for so many years. So there might actually start being some real competition out of something like a WordPress. So
yeah, but I think
clients don't care at the end
most
of the day.
Of the time, the clients are just like, I want my website to work.
Yeah. That's something that as a agency or as the owner, that's something you judge, like, you know, moving forward. You know when the time is right. We say this all the time. We'll know when the time is right. If the time is going to come, we're going to be able to pivot immediately. Like no big deal. Yep.
Okay, so the fourth tip that we have to improve efficiency is to practice your fundamentals. So no matter what you're doing, it's a good idea to make sure that you're on top of your skills. So for us, that's, you know, making sure that we are practicing the things that we do every day: web design, logo design. He is constantly looking into like change logs and making sure that he stays up to date with the latest technology. One of the ways that I practice my skills is by doing TikTok videos of logo designs. So that lets me practice design, but it also lets me practice video editing. So I kind of kill two birds with one stone, and it's also content that helps promote the business. So that's a way that I've found has really helped me get better at Illustrator, just practice my skills with design, and also learn how to edit short form videos, because that's a whole different ballgame than it is to edit YouTube videos, because you have to really know where the cuts are and everything.
I've said this a million times too. A lot of my advanced tutorials it's mainly because I wanted to document how I learned something new. Yeah. And if I can help someone else out there, that's cool. But I'm also creating content at the same time. And then even what we're doing literally right now, we're getting better at doing live streams and video and learning. Yeah. So we're literally learning right now as we're doing this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's really important to do things that you're not necessarily going to get paid for.
Yeah. Or comfortable. Like honestly, we weren't really comfortable doing live streams. We didn't know that this was going to be a thing we do, but I actually feel like it's important now. I think that people want that one-on-one connection. So that's it's a good thing, you know. People want to see that you're human and not just always in tutorial mode. Like, because a lot of times I'm very much in tutorial mode. Like I'm a lot looser in a live stream, but yeah.
You're not worried about really editing yourself as much.
No, not nearly as much.
So I think that one of the ways that you can do practice those fundamentals is to do projects that you aren't getting paid for, just for fun. So if you're a web designer, that would be to do web designs, and you can put those projects in your portfolio, because spoiler alert, nobody cares if it's a fake project. They just want to see what you're capable of doing. So you can do stuff for fun, teach yourself new skills, maybe work on something that you wanted to create in the past. Figure those things out, and it's just going to make you a better designer. If you're a photographer, for example, do some photo shoots for fun. You know, practice those skills, always be improving. No matter what industry you're in, there's things that you can do to improve. You can take classes either in person or online through something like a masterclass or a Skillshare. You can get certifications. You can improve your skills throughout time. So you're keeping on top of your industry. I think it's so important to do that. Anything else to add?
No. Watch our YouTube videos. You can learn a lot from them. Yeah. Watch our channel. Oh, actually funny. I think I saw Webflow has a certification now. So I'm like, you could just take certification. We want to get Elementor certified. That might be the next thing.
Yeah.
We'll create that course.
I mean, maybe down the road, that could be a thing that they do. I remember back in the day when I was working for another company, the big thing was the IT guys, because we had an IT department. They would get their Microsoft certifications, and it was like this whole series of courses on different things. And they would spend a lot of time doing that.
I don't even know if that. I mean, that's probably still a thing, but that's like at a corporate level. Like that's probably for to negotiate your pay. Basically, that's all that is. Like, look, I have the certification.
Yeah, but I mean, it was definitely like a continuing education kind of program, and the IT guys definitely benefited from that. So there's all sorts of things that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So our last tip is to evaluate and refine that process. So once you have that process set, that doesn't mean that you can't go back and change it. Mm-hmm. We've changed our design process so many times over the years because we've gone back and evaluated it and said, what can we do to make this better? Mm-hmm. Sometimes projects go really well throughout the whole time. And then there's some times where there's things that definitely could have been improved. So what we like to do is after any project is completed, just kind of talk about how it went. Mm-hmm. And is there anything that we could have done to communicate better, to change the process so that things went a little bit smoother?
I would add to that because we have a pretty detailed contract, and once in a while something will happen that doesn't like fall in the contract. So a lot of times I would be like, oh, we need to actually refine our contract a little bit because of this use case. So we're always doing that. There's always kind of like like an amendment to our contracts. Like we kind of keep adding to it,
or just amendments to the way that we do things. So a really good example of that is a couple years ago, we completely changed our branding process. So we used to do our branding where we would give the client 3 different design concepts, but I took a course, which we talked about before, improving your fundamental skills. And the person that ran the course she had a whole module on just that. Why are we giving people 3 concepts? We should give people 1 concept, because what usually happens is you nail 1 concept, and this is the one that you want them to go with, and then
they never do.
Well, they never do, but then you kind of go in about designing the other 2 concepts with the idea that I really want them to pick that first concept, so the other 2 aren't as good.
So you don't put as much effort or work into it.
You don't put as much effort into it. So she taught me that maybe the 1 concept process is the better way to go, because if you get the right information at the start and you ask the right questions and you really refine that process so that you know exactly what it is that the client is looking for, you can just do 1 concept and it would be very good.
Yeah, we used to do the same thing with web design way back in the day. I like to say that, but yeah, I used to do the same thing. I would give the client 4. I think I would give them 4 like design layouts of how the website's going to look. But yeah, just like we were saying, they never choose like the one that you really want to go with, because you kind of have one that is kind of more like the current one or the one that might be easier, and then you have like the simplistic one or the really dark version of one, and it made it way too much work. So I don't even know why we did that for so long.
Well, and that's what was funny is we only did 1 concept with web design. With our web design, it was like, okay, we know what it is that you're looking for. We know how we're going to structure it. We have a strategy behind this, and we would deliver 1 concept. Mm-hmm. But we didn't apply that same strategy and process to our branding, which didn't make any sense. And it was like, I think we just kind of got stuck in our ways of like, well, this is how you do branding. You always give them multiple options. And we didn't have to do that. So we completely changed that process. And now we do 1 concept. And we've had a lot of success with that. And I think that the projects really have come out so much better because we're asking better questions up front. We're getting a better strategy. We're presenting the clients something that really makes sense versus something that is pretty good, but maybe we can tweak it here, we can tweak it there, you know?
Also, like, you're the contractor, you're the person that they hired to make decisions.
You're the expert.
Yeah, you're the expert. Don't like make them like force them to make design decisions.
Yeah,
because that's not a great process.
Well, and they don't know what.
That's why they hired you.
That's why they hired you.
It's you can always compare it to, like, I don't know, you go to a doctor, for example. Like, you don't want to go to a doctor and if you need to fix your arm, he's gonna be like, all right, you have 4 different ways to do this. Choose which way you want to do it. He's just going to do it the way that it's going to work.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the way it goes. But yeah, I think that's like one example of how we've refined our process significantly. I have notes here. Make sure that okay. Yes. So another thing that I like to bring up is people like to blame the client for everything that went wrong with the project. Oh, the client never got back to me, or they were annoying, or they were so demanding and they didn't give me what I needed. At the end of the day, it's your business, and a lot of these things are your fault. Hate to break it to you. That's something that we had to learn over the years, that we could change the way we do things and make it so that the client understands how we want things done and communicate how we want things done versus just blaming the client for being a pain in the ass.
And then
that's not how it works.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend get everything in writing. That's so important. Like, whether it just be an email correspondence, contracts, of course, make sure you get everything in writing, because you don't want to get in a situation where you say something on a phone call and let's say it's a Friday afternoon and you're not going to get started on whatever your changes until like Monday. You're going to forget. You're going to forget a lot of things you talked about, because that actually happened. Yeah, like this past Friday, we talked to a client and he sent notes. I was like, all right, good. This is perfect. I don't remember most of the conversation because I was in vacation or like holiday mode already. Weekend mode, not holiday mode.
You're getting ready for Halloween.
Yeah. Which are we going to announce? We might do a Halloween live stream.
We could be doing a Halloween live stream. We still haven't decided. But yeah, let us know if you'd be interested in that. But yeah, I think that a lot of people are so quick to blame the clients and like I always have like horrible clients and they can be so annoying. Well, it's like, well, why is that? It's because you're not communicating effectively what it is that you need from them. So if you refine that process and make it better, it's going to let them know instead of them just having to guess. Because a lot of the time they don't know what they don't, they don't know what they need to give you because you haven't told them. So if they don't know something, you need to make sure that they do. So I think that evaluating your projects after you've completed one, just and seeing what is it that I can improve upon to make this process go even more smooth is going to make you a better business owner. And make sure you actually implement the changes.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And then I like at the end of the year, I always say this, I like to do it at least twice a year, but the end of the year, I'm catching up, all of my last business expenses. I make it a point where I'm like, okay, what can we cut back on? Like, what processes? It's like a good time to like refine everything. It's at the end of the year, I found is perfect for me. It might be in the middle for you or the beginning, but I found the end of the year is a great time where,
like if there's a tool that you've been using and it's really not working for you, it's more of a hassle, get rid of it and find something better. If there's like we were using Dropbox and it kind of turned out that Dropbox was more of a pain. Like it wasn't syncing properly. We were having some issues with it. So we were like, well, we have Google Workspace. It's actually
kind of expensive for what it is because we had Workspace and I looked, I was like, holy crap, we got 4 terabytes. Why are we paying? We're paying Dropbox, so it was $100-something for 2 terabytes. I'm like, what are we doing?
So we could.
It's just space.
Yeah, we actually saved a little money and made our lives easier. So win-win.
There's one right there.
Yeah. So I think what Mark said about like evaluating those tools and stuff that you're using is a good point as well. I always kind of approach everything from like the client process perspective, but he deals more with like the tools and the software and everything. So he loves to go through at the end of the year and be like, okay, this is everything that we use. Is there something that we need to get rid of because it's not good? Is there something that we should start using instead or add on to?
We're pretty much bare bones now. I'm like, I've got it down where we have only a handful of tools now, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think going back to what we said before, we are masters in all of those tools. So everything that we use to run our business, we know inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helps with the overall process. So, yeah.
Right,
cool. I think that's our
minutes. Yeah,
those are our 5 tips. If you have any tips, leave a comment down below.
And we'll leave a link in the description for the web design bundle.
For our web design bundle, if you want to check that out. Maybe we'll see you on Thursday for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If not, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.